In our last video, we discussed the context in which the Khilafah of Umar Ibn Abdulaziz came to pass. Today, we will dive into some of the events that happened in the early days of the Khilafah, all taken from our classical books of history. The great scholar Sufyan al-Thawri said that the caliphs were five: Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and Umar ibn Abdulaziz. This was also reported in Sunan Abi Dawud and by Ibn Kathir in his Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. In it, he quoted the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that says, "Indeed, Allah will send to this ummah at the turn of each century someone to revive the religion." Ibn Kathir commented on that and wrote that a group from the people of knowledge, including Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, have said that Umar ibn Abdulaziz was the Mujaddid, the reviver of the first century. Others have said that he was one from many Mujaddids of the first century, though his name was still most prominent on that list. Now, let's talk about more practical matters. Umar was born to royalty. Abdulaziz, his father, was the governor of Egypt. During that time, Umar lived a luxurious and lavish lifestyle. He would buy one piece of clothing for 5,000 dirhams. When he walked by, people would know and recognize him just from his perfume. He was a very elegant man. And as was the custom back then for smart young boys, his father sent him to study in Al-Madinah al-Munawwara for knowledge. Most notably, he would have studied under the famous Abu Hurairah. Now, back to the Khilafah. He did not desire the Khilafah, rather it was pushed on him. Once elected, however, he took his responsibilities very seriously. On his first khutbah, he told his people, "O people, there is no other book than the Quran, and no other prophet after Muhammad ﷺ. I will not invent laws, but will only follow the Sunnah. And I am not better than any of you, but I have heavier responsibilities now." And to signal his total and complete respect for the Sharia, he added, "There is no obedience to the creation in disobeying the Creator," which basically signaled that he did not expect obedience if what he asked for was not within the bounds of the Sharia. When getting the news of his Khilafah, he reportedly cried and said, "I am afraid that Allah will ask me about every person in this ummah." He understood that the Khilafah was not about serving himself, rather it was about serving the people. At that point, his mindset had completely shifted. The luxuries that he would allow himself with his own money would now be a thing of the past. He even went to his wife Fatima bint Abdul Malik that had some jewelry inherited from her father and told her, "You will have to choose. You either return this jewelry to the Baytul Mal, or I will have to divorce you." She said, "I will choose you over it, and over things that are many times its value." And so they returned the piece of jewelry to the Baytul Mal. And we have many more ahadith along the same lines, where his zuhud, his piety and asceticism would shine. For example, he was one day presented with the best of horses. He would have none of it. He ordered that it be returned to Baytul Mal and asked for a normal horse instead. They even asked him to leave his house and go to the palace, like the rest of the Umayyad leaders had done. He refused and left his current house for what would be today a small 2-bedroom apartment. He's even reported to have freed every servant that he owned from their bond. None of them left him, and they all continued to work for him. His new mindset also affected the clothes that he would wear. He could no longer afford to spend thousands of dirhams on clothes, now that he was Khalifa. He went to his tailor and asked for a piece of cloth for a value of 8 dirhams, to which the tailor responded, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I remember bringing you pieces of cloth for 5,000 dirhams. Umar replied, "That was a time where I was accountable to my own wealth. Today, this wealth belongs to the Baytul Mal." The justice that spread was such that Hassan al-Qassab said, "I saw actual wolves shepherding sheep during the Khilafah of Umar. Maslama ibn Abdul Malik, his brother-in-law, said one day, "I came to visit him because he was sick. He had stains all over his shirt. So I turned to my sister Fatima, upset, and tell her, 'Do you not wash his clothes?' She replied, 'Wallahi, this is the only shirt he owns.'" His piety and the respect he had for the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ was also something to behold. Zayd ibn Aslam said, on authority of Anas ibn Malik, "I have not prayed behind anyone a prayer that resembles the prayer of the Messenger like the one from this young man." Umar was not only strict with himself and his own family, but even with the extended family of the Umayyads. He cut them off completely until one day they gathered in front of his house. Wahib ibn al-Ward reported that Banu Marwan, meaning the Umayyads, gathered at the door of Umar Ibn Abdulaziz and told his son Abdul Malik the following words: "Tell your father that the caliphs that preceded him all gave us money and knew our position, but he cut us off completely." Abdul Malik went then to his father and informed him of their request. He came back with a response from Umar, which was the verse 13 from Surah Az-Zumar.
قل إني أخاف إن عصيت ربي عذاب يوم عظيم.
The series will continue with the next video on the style of governance of Umar Ibn Abdulaziz. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Please consider liking, commenting or sharing. It helps immensely. See you next time.